What's going on? It's your boy CJ Goodfella back. Motor City Sports Talk. We in the building. Detroit Lions defeat the Green Bay Packers at home 31-23. And very, very interesting game, man. Lions defense, I think, really set the tone in this game. Getting to Rodgers a few times, forcing some turnovers, I believe. And Green Bay wasn't in rhythm. Mason Crosby, I think that's their kicker name. He missed like four field goals. I think he was like 1 for 5. Made one late. Packers made a push. Packers had a lot of injuries. I think Geronimo Allison had concussions. Randall Cobb didn't play. It was basically Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers and Ty Montgomery, Aaron Jones, and Jamal Williams in the backfield. But the Lions were dealing with their own injuries as well. Like 4 of their DBs was banged up, but Lawson played. Tease Tabor had to get in there. Slay played. Hand, he was questionable. He ended up playing. And Jerry Davis, he was out there like a rocket, making plays out there today as well. And it wasn't spectacular by the offense. Stafford threw for like 180 something, couple touchdowns. But the guy that stole the day was Kenny Galladay, man. Kenny Galladay is special. And I told you guys I thought he would have the most significant jump from year 1 to year 2 of any of those rookies from last year. And he's proven me right. He got stronger. He get more physical on his routes. He creating separation. He's a man child. He out there looking like, baby Calvin. All right. But it's always good to get a win over Green Bay. Okay. Solid organization. I mean, Kerryon Johnson had an ankle injury today. He still managed to get 70 yards. Blunt scored 2 touchdowns early. They were at one point they was 4 for 4 in the red zone scoring touchdowns. So that's what you like to see, that efficiency, that growth. A couple things that bothered me. One thing that bothered me, I'm going to say a couple of things, was Marvin Jones dropping the ball. The one in the end zone, I know he was dealing with an ankle injury, but Marvin Jones didn't drop too many balls this year. I don't know what's going on. I know he had a great camp, but also it's not to be forgotten that he got injured in camp, So I don't know if he fully recovered from that injury, but he been a little bit off. It wasn't a Golden Tate big day, but he still did his thing, and the Lions didn't have a massive offensive day, They just converted in the red zone, took advantage of field position, and their kicker made kicks, all right? But the defense was definitely the star. The Okwara guy had 2 sacks. They just picked him up a couple weeks ago. He seemed like he paying dividends. The D-line stuffed the run for the most part. This victory lies in 2 areas, with 3. Lies on Mason Crosby can't kick, even though field goals don't win games. It could have helped them. Also, it lies on the Detroit Lions defense, and it lies on the play calling and the offensive execution in the red zone. So they need to keep that execution up. I think they're going into a bye, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But they need to keep that execution up, man. That execution is really, really key, man, for the Lions in the red zone. Man, the defense seemed like they took a step further today, and I also want to say this. Green Bay had some injuries, but the Lions played really, really well because they was dealing with some injuries, some nicks and bangs there as well too. And it really wasn't no significant injuries on Green Bay defense. I know a couple of their DBs is out, but they are really, really young. And the Lions need this victory going into the bye, to get healthy. I mean, Minnesota beat Philly today. Chicago, I believe, have a bye. And Green Bay is banged up. Aaron Rodgers, he ain't mobile. They should let him sit out a few games to let that knee heal. That's on him. I have no, remorse or no sorrow upon him. Like him as a quarterback, seems like a decent person, but we had to do what we had to do today to get back. And that Dallas game was that blown coverage by Gerard Davis was huge, man. The Lions right back in his division regardless. Okay, like it or not, we needed this win. And it was a huge win, and we got Miami come after bye. Going to Miami. Hopefully we don't get distracted in South Beach. We keep our eye on the prize, but I see the growth in the defense, okay? Even last week with the Cowboys game, I see growth. The run defense was better this week, man. I know Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams and Ty Montgomery are 2, that's a formidable backfield they got over there. So Deshaun Hand, he got a strip sack, I think, today, man. And, he beasted, man. That was a great find, great pickup, was number 1 player coming out of high school, so he went to Alabama and got lost in the sauce. You got to remember Alvin Kamara is another guy that started his career from college at Alabama, got lost in the sauce and transferred to Tennessee, and look at him. So Lions, we got a nice little schedule coming up. Then we got the Dolphins, possibly the Seahawks after this bye. Dolphins, Seahawks, Vikings. The Vikings defense stepped up today, but I think that was a blip more than a trend. I say that not to disrespect the Minnesota Vikings. I say it because the Eagles, Carson Wentz just not healthy coming off that knee. He ain't back in rhythm. Neither was Deshaun Watson, who playing Sunday night versus the Cowboys. For those who don't know, he wasn't healthy neither. Okay, so that ACL injury take time to get back in rhythm. You ain't had training camp snaps, drawbacks. So I think Minnesota defense is still suspect. I don't fear Kirk Cousins, and I think the Lions can go on the run. We have Seattle here. We know Seattle's a different team on the road, especially West Coast teams coming to the East Coast. That's always tough. So the Lions, they got to do what they got to do, man. They can easily get 3 wins in a row and be back in contention. Then we got Chicago at some point 2 times in 3 weeks. So it's looking all the way up for the Lions, man. If they keep improving on defense, Jim Bob Cooter still don't get off the hook. This offense can be a lot more efficient. They had a lot more better design run plays, but they executing the red zone today. So there's no point in shit on Jim Bob Cooter. If they get to the red zone, they can execute. The defense can keep sacking the quarterback. They had the fourth most sacks in the league coming into this game. They can keep executing and getting the turnovers from the opposing offenses. And Lions can take advantage of those opportunities and get to the red zone and turn into 7 instead of 3. Then we shouldn't have no problem. So it was a real good game today. Lions did what they got to do. People were walking on eggshells saying, Aaron Rodgers about to come back and win this game. Lions scored a touchdown. They scored enough. And now we're going into the bye, on a high, And once again, we beat the Packers 3 times in a row, I believe, going from last season. Could be a little bit longer. I just know they beat them twice last year this time. And we beat the Bears twice last year. We split with the Minnesota Vikings. I think they're a different team. And it was reporting Everson Griffin might not be coming back for the Vikings for quite some time with his mental problem. But Motor City Sports Talk got the dub today. We gone.